Hello, magical beings. Welcome back to another episode of Witches of the Moon. This is season 13, and we are in week 10. The topic for this week is love spells. And do you do them or no? Well, I like to go through a little bit of history on whatever topic we're discussing, so I will not disappoint here. I will talk a little bit about the history of love spells, how far back they go, and then we'll kind of talk about the ethics behind love spells, why a lot of practitioners choose not to do them, and what you might want to consider before you perform a love spell, either for yourself or for someone else. So basically, love spells go back through antiquity, and I tend to be attached, my practice is primarily Egyptian and Native American, so I like to research, or I have researched that genre probably the most. And there is actually evidence of a love spell that goes back 1300 years in Egypt. The spell, or what they call a magic recipe, includes an image of two bird-like creatures facing each other, and I kind of brought it up here. Hello, where's my camera? There it is. Okay, I don't have a printer, so I can't really, I couldn't print it out for you. My apologies. Let me see if I can get all that stuff out of the way there. There we go. Okay, so basically it's two bird-like creatures facing each other, and they're surrounded by fragments of, fragmented sentences. You can see it down there in the bottom, right there. Okay, backwards, CORIANN. So anyway, this is one of the oldest love spells or magic recipes that have been uncovered recently, in the last couple of 50 or so years. This text is the text in the recipe, or the spell is written in Coptic Egyptian language, which basically is an Egyptian language that uses the Greek alphabet. It's one of the newer, if you will, more recent languages from Egypt. So that particular spell's been deciphered, and it has been shown, or the experts believe that that was a love spell. They do, however, believe that it was a love spell for a couple that was already either in love or together. So that will kind of play into our dialogue a little bit later on. So, other love spells go back in various areas, Celtic, Chinese, Asian cultures, things like that. There's a lot of love magic that has transcended through the ages, basically, and through antiquity. So that being said, it's very brief history, but that just kind of gives you a little bit of background as to how far back love spells have gone. People want, they want to be in love, or we're meant to be creatures, paired creatures, if you will, at least, or, as part of our makeup, so we'll say. So, do we do love spells? If you go on the internet and you search love spells, I think when anybody that's was not raised in the path and is searching their path later on in life, I think that's one of the most intriguing, one of the first spells you probably try to look up is a love spell. Self included. I was like, So, and at the time I was already in a relationship, so I was like, wanting to protect that relationship more or less. And I say I was in a relationship. Let me clarify. I was with someone who we had been together, but we were both in the process of going through a divorce. Okay, so kind of a rebound type thing. And we are now best friends. We are not together, and that's quite all right. That kind of plays into some of the of what we're going to talk about here. Okay, so love spells. Find them all over the internet. People that you can pay to do love spells for you. Probably one of the most popular or researched spells on the internet. But there's some ethics that go along with it. Spell crafting is an energy. It's an energy manipulation or a focus of energy and intention. Okay, so when you're talking about a love spell, if you look at the ethics of it, if you're trying to get someone to love you or fall in love with you or be with you or be attracted to you, if you're focusing that energy on a specific person, that could be very damaging both to you and the person if they're not already having some kind of feelings towards your attraction towards you. And what I'm about to say and my thoughts in this video are my thoughts. Okay, so you can take them with a grain of salt if you wish. Take whatever you choose to take out of it and leave the rest. That's your choice. Again, this is just my thoughts, and that's what we're here to do, is kind of share our perspectives. So that's what I'll be doing. In no way am I trying to say this is the way it should be. These are just my personal ethics and thoughts on the top. Little preamble there. Okay, so if you're trying to manipulate someone's energy, their thoughts, their feelings, the way they behave, that's an energy manipulation, and you want to be very careful with that. And here's why: because you're going against someone's own free will. Okay, if they are naturally attracted to you and you're trying to draw that love, and they're not feeling that way, that is very exhausting. It could be damaging to them because it can mess with their energy flow. Okay, could possibly make them sick. And it's generally not something that is long lasting. You would have to work at that pretty much day in and day out, depending upon how attracted naturally they are to or not. If it's someone who really couldn't give you the time of day, you're probably not going to be very successful. And if you do for even a moment in time, again, it probably won't last. It will be very damaging to your own energy because you're going to have to expel. You're going to have to expend a lot of energy and a lot of effort into maintaining that attraction of that person to manipulate their energy. And if they're strong in their energy and their sense of being, it would be even more difficult. So again, you have to look at the ethics of it too. Do you really want someone who's not, that you have to work out that hard to convince that they should be with you? I would hope not. If you're looking for love, if you're needing fulfillment in your life, whenever I'm consulting clients or people who I'm working with spiritually in regards to various topics, and this topic comes up, and oftentimes it does. A lot of people come in and they want, they come into my shop and they're seeking, they want a reading on love, or they want, they look for, love. I have love oil in my shop, anointing oil. I have love spells, small ones in, I have spell kits in my shop because they're requested. Really have to look at the scenario, and when people do get those, if they ask me for a love spell, I do not perform the love spells for someone who's trying to make someone notice them, attracted to them. I will not do it on a specific person. If they're already in a relationship and they're trying to protect that relationship, reignite that relationship, especially if they're married and they're trying to reignite that passion, I'll help. I'll be glad to help them in that aspect. I will do a lot of consultation with them first to find out if there's anything viable in that relationship. But the first thing, regardless of whether it's an existing relationship or somebody seeking love or somebody who's asking for a love spell, and I'll go into that a little more in detail about how I handle those situations. The first thing I do is I tell them, make sure that if you're seeking the love of someone else, known or unknown, established or not, you have to find love within yourself first. That was one of the hardest lessons I had to learn. I think it's hard for just about anybody, especially for women. I think and I could be wrong, guys, but I know for women it's very difficult, because for a lot of men, not all, let me preface, not all, but in my experience, men are very can be nonchalant in a relationship. They are very driven by physical attraction and urges, and sometimes mistake that for love, or especially if they're very attracted to the person, or they may become codependent on that person and they mistake that for love. That can go both ways, okay? But for women, we tend to get very emotionally attached, especially once sex has been introduced. We tend to get very attached because that's a very strong energy exchange, and we kind of talked about that last week, so I won't go back into that. But that's a very, very strong energy exchange, and that's why it's important to be very cautious as to how you share that energy with someone. So first thing you need to do is you need to find happiness and love within yourself. So a lot of times I will give someone a self-love spell. That I will do. I will give them an energy ball or a witch's ball that they can hang in their room. I keep one in my room, and it's the elements within that ball are to help remind me to love myself. It's self-love. If I'm feeling really down on myself, I work a pink candle spell, and I inscribe it with sigils or with inscribings for self-love. And I will offer that, I will do small spell kits with for self-love for my clients, or I will make a mojo bag and I'll maybe imbue it with pink rose petals and peach blossoms and things like that, and some rose quartz to help them to remember to love themselves and to find that love for themselves. Because here's the thing, folks, nobody can love you until you love yourself. No one can fill that void, or that they can't fix that for you. If you're looking for someone else to love you enough, it'll never be enough. You'll always question it because you're not confident and um, you're not confident in yourself. You're not seeing your own value and worth. And if you can't see your own value and worth, how can anybody else? So you would have to expend a ton of energy, which at some point is going to end up making you sick if you're trying to attract and draw love when you really need to focus on finding love within yourself. That is the first and foremost thing you need to do if you're seeking the love of someone else. Find it within yourself. And you're going to find that it's not as lonely as you would think. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Since I've come to terms with myself and felt my own value and my own worth, I'm not lacking in anything. I have my deities, I have my family, I have very close friends. I do, I'm not without intimate contact with people. It's just I don't rely on them to fulfill me. I don't. And it's very good because I can see the relationship that I'm embarking on with someone for what it truly is. Um, some of them are just friendships with maybe some benefits every now and again, but it's you can kind of put those boundaries up. You can have companion, somebody I can go out with and have a companion, but I'm not reliant on them to fulfill me. So if that's what you're seeking in a love spell, is self-fulfillment, self-worth, self-love, you need to do that working with the mirror, looking to yourself. Okay, maybe do a little shadow work, and come to terms with whatever it is that's causing you to not value yourself and find your own self-worth. Maybe have your Akashic records read. Maybe there's something that went on in a prior life that you keep repeating over and over again. Find out what that is, and then you can fix it, or clear it. My sister's learning to do Akashic records and things like that. So it's, you know, she could probably speak on that a little better. Well, not probably, she could speak on that a whole lot better than I could. But again, find out what it is that's causing you to not find your own self-worth. Once you've done that, then you can open yourself up to whatever the universe has for you, whatever deity has for you, that will be a match to you, where you will be equals, where you can walk together and be balanced. Because that is what is truly important. I found that I've been married twice. Both of my relationships were very, very unbalanced. And now I understand that, and it was because I didn't value myself. I didn't have self-worth or self-love. And now I believe if there is someone, that at whatever point, and I believe there's someone out there for me, I believe I'll find them, or they'll find me, whichever the case may be. When the time is right. Right now is not a good time for me. I've got too many irons in the fire. With my shop just opening up, and then all the COVID stuff, and I've just got a promotion at work. So this is not a good time. And guess what? I am a-okay with that. I cherish coming home to my house and just having some peace and quiet to myself, or being able to pop over to my parents and check on them, or to be able to go and have dinner with a friend and not have to worry about, oh, I got to get home to fix dinner for somebody, or somebody's waiting on me. I don't have to do that. So there's a little freedom there. So that being said, again, find your self-worth. Then you can work towards what you're seeking in a partner. Okay, and it should be a partnership. At some point, I will probably work a love spell for myself, so that I might find the person whose attributes I find attractive and that will match me intellectually, spiritually, and in the same station, in life that I'm at, or better, wherever they're at. That I'm not going to have, that won't be codependent, and that kind of thing. The relationships that I've had in the past, I will seek something that's not, a much healthier relationship. If I need to, I may not need to. Deity, the universe may already have something in mind for me, and that's perfectly all right. Then I'll be ready when I'm ready and when it's time. So, that being said, now, if someone comes in my shop and they're adamant about getting a love spell, again, I caution them. I will counsel them about making sure that they focus on themselves first. And the love kits that I have in my store, the spell kits for love I have in my store, are for self-love. And I let them know that. It is for self-love. Because I'm a strong believer that you can't find the love of someone else if you don't have love of self. So if somebody asks me for a love spell, if it's a couple or if they're in a relationship and they're trying, or even a new relationship, if they're in a new relationship, I work the spells differently depending upon where they're at in their relationship. If it's new, then I work it to where, if it's meant to be and manifest, let it be strong and protected. Let no outside entities interfere. Let all that needs to be seen, so that there's no jealousy if somebody's trying to cause a rift between the couple as they're developing their new relationship. Let them see that for what it is, so that they don't possibly give up on a relationship, or there isn't a rift that's caused in a relationship that shouldn't be there because of somebody else interjecting their energy into the relationship. So I will put those intentions within the kit. Then I will prepare it for them. I do not do love spells myself. I will prepare the kit for them, instruct them, and then let them do the kit, because I honestly believe it needs to be their energy and intention. And hopefully if it's a couple, they'll do the spell together. They'll work that intention together so that they can manifest whatever is supposed to be together. And especially if it's a couple, same thing. I will give, and usually it's couples that come in, they want to just protect their relationship. Maybe they're going through some financial hardships and it's causing arguments within their relationship, or they're having the whole COVID thing has caused people, they're having to spend more time together in close quarters. So that's a whole different scenario, because people are used to being on the go all the time, and here's their level of contact. It's a text. So they're not really engaging with one another. They're eating at different times of the day, or even if they're at the table, or they're sitting down to a meal, they're watching TV, or they're on their phones, or they're quickly eating, and then they've got to go somewhere and do something else. And now with COVID, they're having to actually sit down and have a conversation. So that's been a whole different aspect of people's relationships. They're having to learn to get to know each other all over again. Same thing within families. And if a family is involved, I do work with the couples, but I also work the family aspect into it as well. I include the children, and that way there's unity and there's cohesiveness within the family. A lot of times I'll do amulets, or I'll give a piece of unakite to the family or the couple, because unakite is really good about, again, unity, bringing people together. It's great for that kind of imbuement. I'll either put a little piece in, like for children, I'll put it in the mojo bag, or in a little sachet or something that they can, or a little jar they can keep in their room, or what have you. Or even for couples, I'll usually do an energy ball that's focused on passion and strength of relationships and friendship. I include that in there because they need to be friends. There needs to be a level of that kind of energy in that relationship. Of course, passion, so I'll include jasmine and red rose petals, and I'll include pink rose petals, and I'll include white rose petals for peace and to be able to, and for forgiveness if they have an argument, to help that pass quickly. A little bit of chili powder or chili flakes to ignite passion and heat in that relationship. I'll throw a little bit of ginger in there to kind of protect them and ward off any outside influences that might be trying to damage that relationship, that kind of thing. So those are some things I might include in that, either a spell jar and an energy ball or witch's ball that they can hang in their room. Or, and then for the kids, it's family love and unity, and I'll include those aspects of family love in there. A grounding, usually I'll throw up at some patchouli or some dirt, especially if I can get it from their, I'll ask them to bring dirt from their home. If they own the home, bring that dirt from their home, so we can put that in there to put that energy and customize it for them. I'll put that in the energy ball or the witch's ball. Those are different things that I'll include in those spells, in that spell work or in that jar, so that they can either rekindle or to protect a relationship. If they need to, if they're looking for to respark the youth of their relationship, maybe they're suddenly empty nesters and their kids are grown and they want to rekindle some of that fire and flame, then sometimes I'll put in like playground dirt for whimsy and you know, just to rekindle that youthfulness, that whimsy, you know, maybe from a high school or something like that, dirt from high school. My sister does a great she did a great episode, I think, on her personal channel on dirts, and she went through a gambit. I was like, didn't even think about some of that stuff. But I now use those. I have a whole collection of dirt. So people think I'm going around just, you know, collecting dirt. But it's because it can be very powerful. It can be a very powerful grounding tool in your, you know, it represents grounding. Plus, it has that energy of wherever you're collecting that dirt from. So I'll throw that in there, and, you know, I'll put that in there for them. And I love, like, I don't know, for me, peach blossoms are very whimsical and very, you know, um, light. It's like spring, you know, it represents a newness of sorts. So it kind of is representative to me of spring when I see the peach blossoms on my mom's tree out in the backyard. Her, you know, I think, okay, spring is sprung, here we go, you know. And then like in Bambi, you know, everybody's Twitter pated. So, you know, I'll put some of that stuff in there to help them rekindle those feelings. If they have something from when they were, you know, in when they first met, if they have something I can put in there from then when they were dating, I'll put that in there. So those are different things you can do to work with someone, or you can create for yourself if you're looking for that. Now, let's say you're looking for love. You don't have someone and you want someone in your life. Then don't focus on an individual. Again, first focus on yourself. Get that, once you've got that straight, then think about what it is you're looking for in a mate, and be realistic. Okay, now in practical magic, and be careful, in practical magic, Sandra Bullock's character, I believe it's Sally Owen, she didn't want to fall in love. She was afraid that if she fell in love, she was going to get hurt like her mother. And so she, you know, um, she created a spell that I think it was called Mare Finality, or, you know, like, to me it sounded like it meant final love or no, or end of love. But anyway, she went around and she was doing this spell as a little girl. She went in and her sister asked her, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "I'm creating a love spell, you know, a perfect love spell." And she wanted someone who would hear her calling them a mile away, and that they would be able to they would whistle her favorite tune and be able to ride a horse backwards and be able to flip a pancake in the air, and would their favorite shape would be a star, and they would have one blue eye and one green eye. And as she's doing this, she's picking like rose petals and jasmine flower and things like that, and then she sends that out into the universe. And lo and behold, later in life, what does she get? Maybe not in the time that she wanted or expected. And in reality, in the movie, she never expected to find that perfect love. But in the end, she did. Spoiler alert, if you've never seen Practical Magic, you're way late anyway. You should have seen it already. But if you haven't, watch it. That wasn't the whole movie. That was just part of it. So anyway, great movie. And but again, she cast the love spell in the movie for herself. So be careful, because she never expected that would ever happen. She said, her sister said, "I thought you never wanted to fall in love." And she goes, "Well, that's just it. I'm creating a spell for someone who doesn't exist," or so she thought. And she thought, "I'll never fall in love, so I'll never get my heart broke." And then, lo and behold, the universe had a whole different plan. So be careful what you ask for. Be ready for that intention. Be clear on your intention, because that's whatever you ask for is probably what you're going to get. So our words are very powerful. Our intention is very powerful. So you can manifest what you're seeking. Just make sure you're ready for it. And again, if you're seeking it to fulfill something that you need to fulfill within yourself, it probably won't happen the way you want it to. It's not going to happen the way you want to. You have to fulfill yourself first, then because nobody can fulfill you for you. They can only partner with you. Okay? So, did I run the gambit? I think I did. Again, do I do love spells? Again, depending upon the circumstance. Me personally, don't do them for people. I will give you the tools, tell you how to do it. It needs to have your intention. I do love oils, anointing oils. I do have love oil in my shop. Again, it's used for a variety of reasons. If someone is choosing to do a love spell, or they're trying to protect their existing relationship, then a lot of times I'll give, they'll come in, they'll ask for love oil. That's fine. I always tell them to add ingredients that will make it their own, and to customize it for whatever the purpose is, the type of love they're seeking. Some people want just to protect a friendship. That's another type of love spell. You can just protect a friendship that you've had, and it maybe you're going through a rocky patch or something, because again, that's love, right? It could be a love, a relationship with children, or you're wanting to, maybe they're getting into those tough teenage years and you want to protect that love of family, or they're having they're fighting or bickering with their siblings, or things like that. Those are different types of love spells that you can, and love magic that you can incorporate. And it could be as simple as, for family love, as simple as putting, pink Himalayans, pink salt in your food, with the intention of binding and cleansing and protecting. With, I say binding, I say that loosely. I mean, like cohesiveness, not against someone's will necessarily. But those are things that you can do. Keep in mind correspondences. Keep in mind, like, even when you do, like, if you're going to do a love spell, a lot of times it'll be, a spell jar. Heart-shaped jars are good. You can usually get those at your hobby stores and things like that. Rose petals, of course, are great correspondences for love, that kind of thing. So just keep those things in mind. You can even wear little amulets, make a little spell jar that you can, if you're trying to attract love. Different fragrances like lang lang and jasmine, orange and honey are great for creating love. Patchouli, some people are, it's a very earthy scent, so it tends to attract, make you draw attraction to you, that kind of thing. So you could put, wear a little love amulet, a little spell bottle, or whatever. So there's different ways of doing it, mojo bags, sleep sachets, that kind of thing. So you can do that however you like. Again, be cautious, be ethical, I would recommend, because if that backfires, you could end up really harming yourself or someone else, and you just don't want to do that. So there you have it. If you have any comments, if you've done love spells, or if you've got a story you'd like to share regarding a love spell, or how you do love magic, feel free to share in the comments. If you have questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I'll try to answer them as quickly as I can. My phone's been acting up, so I'm having to get on YouTube on the computer to see the comments and stuff, so I apologize if it's been a minute and you've made a comment or asked a question. I'll try to get to those to you. Don't forget to hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, please make sure you subscribe. Watch the other hosts and hostesses videos this week, get their perspectives on things, and then take from it what works for you and what seems to be that you're drawn to. So that's it. That's all I have. Y'all have a great afternoon, evening, or morning, whichever it is that you're watching the video. Stay safe and blessed be.